Most of the polls, although we're really scanning this right now for breaking news, most of the polls have said it's starting to lean toward the stay vote, stay with the European Union. We have the great fortune of having David Joy in the chair from Ameriprise with close to $1 billion in assets. He's the chief market strategist. Is this simply, some profit taking?
I think it is. I think it's a little bit of a relief. But of course, the vote has yet to be taken. We'll have to wait until Thursday for that to happen. But I think all you have to do is look at the banks today, particularly those trading in the UK. They're up over 5%. It's a big, big relief for them, especially.
And by the way, our banks are still up more than 1%, mostly, although, I'm looking at, hold on, Goldman. I have Goldman up 1.5%, yeah.
Yeah, the U.S. banks didn't sell off nearly as much, of course, because it's not as impactful to them. But if you're domiciled...
They've had a terrible year.
Yeah, they have.
Right.
They have. For a lot of different reasons, regulatory, business-wise, low interest rates, a lot of reasons the banks have had trouble.
But, David, between now and Thursday, is this the most important headline? Or do you feel that with Janet Yellen speaking tomorrow before the Senate, Wednesday before the House of Representatives, that maybe there might be something out there that our viewers would be very mindful to watch?
Well, I think it's important to watch what the Fed has to say and what they do. But having come out of their meeting just recently, I think the Fed has moved to the sidelines for the time being. So this Brexit vote is clearly on the front burner.
Yeah, we've got our team scanning and looking to see whether there's some new polls, because they sometimes come out at this time of day. Yeah. But the polls, we need to stress, have been rather inaccurate in most cases. Remember when Scotland was voting to secede from England? They were completely wrong on that. So it's important to notice that. But here are the latest UK exit polls that we have. 44% say remain, 43% say leave. I mean, come on, can you get any closer?
Well, the Financial Times this morning reported that their poll of polls was a dead heat, but they made the point, and this is important, that those polls were, at least in part, taken before the assassination of Joe Cox. And since then, there's been a shift in momentum to the stay camp. And so these polls may already be a little bit outdated.
That we should really put up a headline that instead says we've peeled off about 150 points off the lead for the Dow Jones Industrials. At one point, we were up more than 270 points. So we're starting, folks, we need to just make this clear for you. We're coming well off the highs of the session. Earlier, I had told you that the NASDAQ had been up 81 points. 81 points. So the NASDAQ right now is up 38. So, we've chopped all the wins in half here.
We have. I think you have to keep in mind the UK market was down 6% during the sell-off. The European, the Eurozone market down close to 8%. We only traded off a couple of percent, about 2 or so percent. So for us to bounce back in a more modest way, not really that surprising, I don't think.
Well, so what do you do? If you're guiding your investors over at Ameriprise, what is the #1 thing you're telling them to do now?
Well, I think for right now, what you want to watch is the economic data in the U.S. We think we're going to be bouncing back to about a 2.5% growth path in the second and third quarter. If that's the case, then there's a chance that earnings growth could turn positive in the second half of the year, but we still have our own elections to deal with. That's going to cause some volatility. So I think one of the things you want to do is stay with the equity markets, but do it in a defensive way. Good dividend yielding stocks, good dividend growers.
Well, look at these. It's funny. You pick these three: Merck, Cisco, Simon Property, all have a dividend of 3% or more. That far outweighs the 1.6% that the 10-year Treasury is yielding. You're just saying go with a good name and at least own a piece of a company here.
That's exactly right. And all of these are well-managed companies. They all have their challenges, clearly, in a slow-growth economy. But they're well managed, and we think that they can produce good, solid cash flow and maintain those dividends and actually grow them over time.
Yeah, we're trying to get Lori back in front of the camera. She's rushing to speak with traders right now. But as we look at this trading action, I think that it's important to also note that we still, at these levels, have the biggest gains in what, Charlie Brady? More than a month.
Yeah.
More than a month.
Yeah, it's nice to see, and I think it's reflective of the fact that there's this political overhang, starting with Brexit. We got the Fed out of the way. That's helping.
Hold on, I got Lori here on the floor once again. Lori, talking to traders?
Hi there. Okay, Liz, so, the problem is technology. Looking at the Dow, we mentioned that Apple went negative. You've also got Microsoft and Cisco. But bigger picture, you could see some profit taking here, maybe some relief finally. A lot of the writers this morning were saying, gosh, let's just get past this Brexit vote Thursday so we can focus on really what is going on. I mentioned earlier, there's not a lot of U.S. economic news to to trade on, though that comes on the heels of last week's Fed, right? And then before that, disappointing job story. What else did I want to tell you? The VIX index coming in, so people are feeling a little bit more confident about U.S. equities, Liz.
So you're saying Apple and Microsoft. I see Apple.
And Cisco.
Yeah, well, let's see. Cisco right now is down just about 0.5%. It's moving fast. Cisco's moving fast, and we've got Apple down just a fraction at the moment. Quick mention on Microsoft, pretty much flat. Can't even count that as a negative. David, what do you say?
Well, I think technology is probably a pretty good place to be. I think you have to be a little selective, but it's one place I think you're going to see some earnings growth in the second half of the year.
Okay, you heard it from David, and we'll put all of his stock picks on Facebook.com/Liz Claman.